Hello everyone and welcome to a book haul. These ones are all ebooks that I will be telling you about. At least as of right now, there's always a chance at some point in the future I could obtain a physical copy as well. But as of right now, these are just going to be ebooks. These are all ones that I got for free at some point at Amazon or some other offer. It could be, because there are times where some authors will do giveaways and then you download it onto your Kindle for the ebook. So let's just delve right on into this. All of these books are literary fiction. If there are additional tags, I will let you know. But when I obtained all of these books, they were all tagged as literary fiction. I like to do these because, one, I don't ever hear anyone talking about these books, and so I do want to put these out there in case these are ones that either you have heard about and you can tell me if it's really good and I should prioritize it, or maybe it'll put it on your radar if you think it sounds particularly good. So, because these are all like authors I've never heard of and books I've never heard of. So let's go ahead and just delve right on in. There will be 31 books in this video. So the first one I have to tell you about is called The Spirit Within. This one was written by Barry D. like Delta, so Barry D. Gill. This only has 5 ratings with a 4.6 average. No additional genre tags. It says, The Spirit Within is a work of fiction in the fantasy, family, saga, and interpersonal drama subgenres. It is intended for the general reading audience and was penned by author Barry Gill. Okay, let's see. Our central protagonist, Brad Sanderson, seems to be a man who has a fabulous job as an F1 racing driver, a gorgeous girlfriend in Melissa Garcia, and a thrilling jet-set life that can surely only get better as his family grows with his son, Anthony. But Brad is plagued by nightmares from his own childhood, and when a brand new disaster threatens everything he's ever worked for, cracks begin to show in his perfect world. Can he find redemption after all? And that's all it says. Okay. Next up, I have Stormer's Pass. This is book number 1 in the Adios trilogy, written by Benjamin Laskin. This one has 76 ratings with a 4.17 average. Young adult and sports. It looks like, from what the image that I see on Goodreads, and hopefully it's the one that you will be seeing, it looks like this is going to be a football romance, or not necessarily romance, but a football fiction regarding the sports. I'm just in a romance mood, so, because I'm currently reading a romance book. So this one says, if you can't wait for a hero, you must become one. The sleepy town of Pinecrest is jolted from its slumbers by 2 unlikely citizens. Star high school quarterback Max Stromer and Adios, an extraordinary girl. It's not Adios, it looks like Adios. Adios? I'm guessing is how it's said, because I don't know of someone that would have a name saying adios. So it could be adios. I could have been saying that wrong. Anyway, and adios is what I'm going to say from now on. An extraordinary girl who has been living unobserved in the surrounding hills. Adios opens Max's eyes to potential he didn't know he possessed, putting them both on a collision course with the town's own ambitious plans. The resulting clash draws the astonishment of the entire country, and soon Max finds himself captain of something much bigger than a football team. To save Adios and his town, Max must lead the team into the contest of their lives. Whether maverick or hero, outlaw or savior, being a champion was never harder. It says Stormer's Pass is an enthralling adventure of two people's uncommon faith in each other, their friends, and in the miracle-making powers of courage. So, again, it is a young adult. Next, I have Continuum. This is a short story collection written by Chad Lester. It says, let's see, no additional genre tags, 75 ratings with a 4.04 average. Continuum is a genre-defying collection of sharp, suspenseful stories that tread on the darker side of human nature. Ambitious in scope, it vividly moves through slices of time, from ages past, the present, and into the unknowable future. The stories question our deepest subconscious passions and asks, how much control do we really have? Can good people be conditioned to commit atrocities? Is it possible for kindness and cruelty to exist within the same person? Can our species ever eradicate itself from our worst tendencies? In the most interconnected age in human history, why are some of us so alone? Next, I have Ascension. This says this is a story of mental illness written by Daniel Trump. This has 8 ratings with a 4.5 average. No additional genre tags. Dalton Lewis is a brilliant writer, fights like hell to create art, but a catastrophe intervenes. Dalton Lewis starts in middle school writing poems about fantasy realms and speeches about stupidity of his homework assignments. In high school, he joins the award-winning school Pieper and creates legendary role-playing adventures. At college, he studies at the prestigious Iowa English program. As he progresses and becomes an adult and a real artist, though his mind he starts to pace angrily, answer the phone when it isn't even on, and gets fired from job after job. Okay. He breaks down and ends up unable to communicate with the outside world. This is an autobiographical look at life with mental illness. Okay. It does say that written by Daniel Trump, University of Iowa grad, and high-functioning schizophrenic. That's what it says. So, just so you are aware. Okay, next I have The Rowan Tree, written by Robert W. Fuller. This has 2,424 ratings with a 3.41 average. And it does say this is also a romance and historical fiction as well. It says Rowan Elway is a young college president, Easter Blue, and impassioned student leader. Upon graduation, she takes a fellowship to Africa, where they lose touch. When, decades later, they meet again, they discover that their prior bond was but a rehearsal for the world stage. It says this book reaches from the tumultuous 1960s into humanity's future, encompassing the worlds of politics, sport, ballet, presidential leadership, and world governance. An international cast of characters personifies the catalytic role of love and political change. Replete with illicit love, quitoic, quests, and inextinguishable hope. This tells a Digenarian world, much as the story of King Arthur and the Round Table sowed the seeds of democracy. And it looks like, and this one is a chunker. The other ones were all less than, I think, the 4 previous ones. No, the three of the previous ones I talked about were less than 200 pages. One of them was over, the first one I told you in this video was like around a little over 400 pages. This one says the Kindle edition is 540 pages. So this one's a chunker of a book. Just be aware. Next up I have Babbitt, written by Sinclair Lewis. It says that this is a classic and 20th century historical Nobel Prize is the other tag. It says Babbitt is a satirical novel about American culture and society that critiques the vacuity of middle-class life and the social pressure toward conformity. The controversy provoked by Babbitt was influential in the decision to award the Nobel Prize in Literature to Lewis in 1930. I still really don't know what that's about, but it's a classic and I tend to like classics, so I'm good there. Next, I have The Death of a 10-Year-Old Boy, written by Scott Reardon. This has 125 ratings with a 4.24 average. No additional genre tags. This one is on the shorter end. It does say it's 137 pages. I won't tell you all of the page counts for all of the books, but there you go. The Death of a 10-Year-Old Boy is a heartbreaking, once-in-a-generation novel that allows readers to experience something they fear most, what it's like to die. A man who takes his dying son on a hunt for a bear that's killed 2 people. The man wants the boy to see something in life beyond school and sports, beyond everything he's ever known. Ultimately, the book is about what's left when we're facing the end. What are we, and what does it mean to be alive? This one sounds like it's going to be a hard one to read. Okay, Next up, I have Chasing Rabbits, written by Rodolfo del Toro, 788 pages with a 4.56 average. Literary, but these are all literary, so that's the only genre tag. Okay. Let's see. It's listing that this is a bunch of winners. So winner of the Pencraft Book Awards, winner at the Literary Titan Book Award in 2022, the FAPA President's Book Awards, winner of the American Fiction Awards, and the Moxie. So this has won a couple of awards. Distinguished favorite at the Independent Press Award and New York City Big Book Award. Okay. Let's see. Now this starts out with a quote from Vincent van Gogh. It says, "Let's make the most of the time because wasting time is the most expensive thing of all." And now we're into, I believe, what is the synopsis? It says, with an important test quickly approaching, Rudy is sure he is more than up to the challenge. Nevertheless, a forthcoming trial unrelated with his academic abilities will test his very soul. As a driven fourth-year medical student, Rudy Dell is all about numbers and school standing. Having previously scheduled a non-demanding clerkship to complete his studies, an unexpected turn of events finds him assigned to the oncology unit of the University Pediatric Hospital. On unfamiliar territory and answering to a demanding attending physician, things are not as expected. On a desperate struggle to find time to study, Rudy is now surrounded by patients and situations very different to what he has faced before. Still confident in his abilities, Rudy believes he will tackle this new challenge as he always does, head on. Unbeknownst to him, he will face a most unexpected test as the children of the oncology unit show him he might not be quite prepared for the upcoming weeks, and maybe not quite prepared to become a doctor. All right, next I have As Far As You Can Go Before You Have to Come Back, written by Alle C. Hall. This has 104 ratings with a 4.18 average. This one says, let's see, no additional genre tags. It says 2 classics, The Lovely Bones and The Beach, meet in this girl and her backpack story, except this teenager, Carly, I'm going to say Carly, isn't merely traveling. Carly steals $10,000 from her parents to get as far from them as possible, Southeast Asia. There, the lonely planet path of hooks, heat, alcohol, and drugs takes on a terrifying reality. Landing in Tokyo in the late 1980s, teaching English and practicing Tai Chi, Carly has the chance at a journey she didn't plan for. One to find her self-respect ripped from her as a child and the healthy sexuality she desires. Okay, next I have L.A. Dreams, written by A.M. Morrell. This has 101 ratings with a 3.84 average. No additional genre tags. It says, it's the 1993 LA music scene, complete with drugs, parties, alcohol, and women, but 27-year-old Corey Scott is only interested in one thing, the success of his band Suicide King. His best friend died trying to make it happen, and Corey will stop at nothing to make their rock star dream a reality. When infamous music legend Alexandra Blake agrees to produce their debut album, all Corey has to do is keep the band together and keep her interested in them long enough to finish the album. Simple enough, until he meets Alexandra. With one glance at her, everything else becomes secondary. Corey becomes so self-absorbed that his bandmates are barely a thought. Jesse's girlfriend is cheating on him, and Trent's drug use is bordering on dangerous. But Corey's focus on Alexandra is all-consuming. The deeper he falls for her, and she falls for him, the more torn Corey becomes. When his world comes crashing down, will Corey be forced to choose between the bandmates who depend on him, the music he thought he was there for, and the woman he needs more than air in his lungs? Okay. All right, next up I have The Last Song. The main title on the cover looks like is Lost and Found. This is written by Waya Pieper. I probably said that wrong. This has a 4 ratings with a 5-star average. I was going to say 4-star rating with a 5-star average. 4 ratings with a 5-star average. And let's see, it says, Lost and Found, The Last Song is a story of generational trauma, the burden of expectation, and the impact of abandonment and grief. We follow the coming of age of Yuki Emai as she navigates life's twists and her beloved grandparents to cancer, living with overbearing parents and forming new relationships. Set against the backdrop of her musical education, Yuki must deal with the many challenges life throws in her direction as she searches for her old mentor. Will Yuki find the closure that she seeks, or will she find only futility at the end of her desperate search? Okay. It says, this is a story of how redemption can come from the most unlikely of places and how our interpersonal relationships can define who we are and who we can become. Next, I have Red Dot, written by Rose Fox. This has 49 ratings with a 3.02 average. It says, Kevin is 30, and he's perfectly happy with his easygoing single lifestyle. Why tie himself down to just one woman? But when a sudden relocation to India means massive culture shock with spicy food, crowded streets, and wildly colorful markets, Kevin suddenly meets an outstanding woman who turns his whole life upside down. Is Kevin's comfortable life about to change? This one's less than 100 pages, it looks like. So just so you know, this one is definitely a short story. Next, I have What Survives, written by Phyllis M. Skoy. This has 45 ratings with a 4.11 average. Still no additional genre tags to tell you about. Okay. Adalette Ulasoy is recovering from severe burns to her legs, the death of her parents, and the loss of her unborn child, all resulting from a massive earthquake on the Black Sea coast of Turkey. When her husband deserts her for another woman, his wealthy family sends her to live in a vacant home they own in the pottery village of Avanos. In Avanos, Adalette meets the formidable, blind, and elderly Fatma. Fatma is the grandmother of a teenage budding artist, Miriam. Adalette discovers Miriam's talent through Miriam's mischievous behavior. Adalette convinces Fatma and that the art school will be much better for Miriam than an arranged marriage. With Fatma's help and against the backdrop of a changing and developing Turkey, Adalette and Miriam move to Istanbul so that Miriam can study art. There, they meet an American art professor from New York City. Through love, mentorship, and the horrifying events of September 11th, their lives are forever changed. So far, a lot of the ones I've talked about take place outside of the U.S., so that's interesting, and I look forward to that. I do like to read books that take place outside of the U.S. to kind of get a little bit more descriptions of different cultures. I like that. Okay, next up I have True Moxie, written by Sylvia Burgess. I'm sure I said that wrong. I'm probably going to be saying a lot of things wrong. This has 244 ratings with a 4.48 average. Two teens alone in the woods. What could go wrong? In a remote wilderness where the rain never stops and predators lurk just beyond the trail, can one 17-year-old girl's determination save the lives of those she loves? After a guide boat disaster, small town Maya leads city slicker Jack through the remote Pacific Northwest wilderness to summon rescue. But when the weather turns, they discover how deadly nature can be. Now, forced to unite, they struggle to reach help in time to save Maya's injured father and each other. True Moxie takes you deep into the beauty and power of British Columbia's old-growth forests. With non-stop action, endless hits by nature, family secrets, a tale of first love, and lives hanging in the balance, it'll keep you up past your bedtime. It says this is a work of fiction, but deals with many real issues, including bullying, injury, and death. So, okay, next I have After the Voyage. It says this is an Irish-American story written by Brenda Murphy. This has 204 ratings with a 3.87 average. History is the only genre tag. At the heart of After the Voyage is an American immigrant family making its way forward on a road that is sometimes rocky and steep. From different countries in Ireland, Maggie Qualter and Richard Terrett both sailed to America as young adults in 1870, after surviving Ireland's Great Hunger as children. Maggie works as a maid for a wealthy family. Richard finds work in a tannery. After the death of the young wife he loves passionately, Richard marries Maggie with the help of a deceptive go-between who brews trouble in their marriage that never goes away. They raise 3 children in the midst of Irish-American culture, the Catholic Church, and Richard battles for the working man in the Knights of Labor. Their daughter Mary dreams of being a nun, while Josie seeks the freedom of big city life in Boston. Neither reckons on the future she will face. Mary as a wife and mother of 9 children, and Josie is a single working woman. Soon, Tom escapes factory life by joining the Navy, manages to see the world in the midst of 2 wars, and comes home to marry his sweetheart and start a new life. Their stories are both remarkable and familiar to everyone whose ancestors made their way to and in America. I do have ancestors. I'm really interested in this one now because I do have ancestors from Ireland, so... Their stories are both remarkable and familiar. Okay, so I said that. It says the events in the Tarrant's lives are as they emerge from the public record, but their inner lives, their thoughts, their relationships, their words are imagined as a route to understanding these 5 complicated and fascinating people. Okay, next up I have The Field, written by Jason Fuhrman. 91 ratings with a 4.12 average. Coming of age is the only additional tag. A family torn apart, a friendship stronger than blood, a dark journey that will change 2 young boys forever. After his mother and sister are killed in a tragic accident, 10-year-old Will struggles to hold on to what is left of his life. His father, consumed by grief and rage, forces Will to find solace elsewhere. An abandoned field is where he finds that solace, exploring the afternoons away with his best friend Eddie. But when he's attacked during one of his excursions, the one place where Will feels he can escape his broken life is no longer safe. His misfortune soon escalates far beyond black eyes and bruised ribs, threatening to destroy his psyche as well. Beaten and stripped of everything, Will is forced to decide how far he will go to put an end to the torment. It says, in the spirit of films like Stand By Me and novels like The Catcher in the Rye, The Field is a coming-of-age novel that explores the debilitating effects of loss, the unbreakable bonds of friendship, and the ghosts of our past that haunt us for the rest of our lives. Okay, up next I have The Underground Engineer. It says this is a historical novel based on a true story. This was written by Ruth Eshel. It has 20 ratings with a 4.3 average. Okay, so this one says, Palestine, 1942. As the flames of war blaze across Europe, brilliant young engineer I don't know how to say this. Let me do a Google search and see if this is going to tell me how to pronounce this name, because I have no idea. Evgeny is what the Google pronunciation guide says. Evgeny. Okay, so let me find it again. Here we go. Evgeny. So let me start out the synopsis over. It says Palestine, 1942. As the flames of war blaze across Europe, brilliant young engineer Evgeny Ratner, Cenker to his friends, is recruited by the British I'm just going to say British Army, Admiralty, I don't know, to fight the Nazi threat. As a member to the esteemed scientific division, he works tirelessly to create the weapon that will help defeat the German forces. But as a member of the underground Jewish resistance, Cenker knows his conflicting allegiance might make him the target of the very people he serves. Part sprawling historical saga, part fascinating historical adventure document, The Underground Engineer is based on the real story of the founding father of Israel's top defense agency, Cenker Army Bratt, troublemaking student, fearless motorcycle adventurer, and above all, brilliant inventor whose work changed the course of history. This, I think, will be interesting. Okay. Next up I have Cut Off Your Nose to Spite Your Face, written by Nicki Grace. This has 131 ratings with a 4.21 average. No additional genre tags. It says, Willow Feltner has always felt ugly, overlooked, and alone. And why wouldn't she? Men barely notice her. Co-workers don't remember her name, and her very own sister acts as if they are rivals instead of relatives. When her beloved grandmother dies, Willow's world sinks to an all-new low, and she is desperate to find a way to fix her lifelong suffering. She is done with the insults, the hatred, and the all-out disrespect. It is finally her time to shine, and what better way to recreate her world than with a new face? This transformation will not only gain her respect from her family, but for once in her life, it will make men want her, and women want to be her. Unfortunately for Willow, going under the knife not only opens her world to new possibilities, but to new threats as well. Okay, it says, trigger warning, this is a one in a two-part series. Please be advised that this series includes triggers related to self-harm, emotional abuse, violence, rape, and other forms of sexual violence. And it ends in a major cliffhanger. So, good to know. Okay, next up I have Fly Away Home. This is a prequel novella to the Pigeon Grove series. This has 299 ratings with a 4.05 average, written by Dave Cenker, I'm guessing is how that is said. Romance, contemporary, and chick lit are the additional genre tags. This one says, is running away from your troubles the best path to a fresh start? Claire Perkins struggles with her past, even as a 38-year-old woman. While attending her abusive mother's funeral in the town where she grew up, Claire discovers a deeper emotional scar that challenges her definition of home. No longer willing to put on a facade, buried pain triggers Claire's only logical choice: escape to a quiet place somewhere far away from the risk of any further disappointment and heartache. Pigeon Grove appears to be a sleepy southern locale in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. But there is a unique and underlying charm to the small town that has other plans for those looking to slip into the slice of, oh my gosh, I'm itching my nose, sorry. Slip into the silence of a solitary life. With nothing but a desire to fade into the background, this close-knit community guides Claire along a different path, in a direction that encourages her deep-seated need to connect with others. Hank Charles is a produce shop owner full of quirky facts. Lizzie Perkins is the niece Claire hasn't seen in years because of a falling out with her brother. Jack Burgess is a sketch artist whose troubled past intersects with Claire's in serendipitous ways, if only she gives herself the chance to discover it. Can this small mountain town help Claire connect the dots to create a life she's always imagined? Will Pigeon Grove's beloved message answer her soulful call for guidance before the opportunity escapes her? It's never late to come home. Next up, I have Chasing China. It says this is a daughter's quest for truth, written by K. Bratt. This has 1,868 ratings with a 4.04 average. Historical, adoption, drama, contemporary, romance, Asia, mystery, are the additional genre tags. Okay, it says, from the best-selling author of The Scavenger's Daughters comes a suspenseful novel about one woman's tenacious search for her birth parents and the truth of how she came to be adopted. Mia left China as a small child, destined to be protected within the loving arms of an all-American family. She is grateful for her life, but now that she is on the precipice of total independence, she feels she is missing something. Determined to learn more of her past, Mia hops a plane to the country of her birth. As she follows the red thread back through her motherland, she is enamored by the history and culture of her heritage, strengthening her resolve to find the truth of her beginnings, even as Chinese officials struggle to keep it buried. With an unwavering spirit of determination, Mia battles the forces stacked against her and uncovers a truth that will change her life. Now, this book sounds really good. All right, we are on the last 11 books for this video. Next up, I have The Dregs of Aquarius. This was written by Rick Dewhurst. This has 6 ratings with a 3.83 average. No additional genre tags. It says, when Tom Pollard's knee injury ends his promising basketball career and his older brother Bob is killed in Vietnam, he drops out, rejecting his Berkeley education and traditional 60s society, and slums as a bartender in a hippie haunt on Vancouver Island. His conservative girlfriend Ruby, in an attempt to rescue him, takes a job teaching school there, but she soon becomes weary of Tom's lost soul routine, and when summer arrives, she returns home to Anaheim, not certain if she will be back in the fall. Left alone without restraints, Tom searches for some meaning to his life, as he trips through the subculture where an acid-induced discovery that he is God adds variety to the encounter group he lands himself in. To add to the chaos, Tom's developing an invisible third side eye peers randomly into the spiritual realm where the fiendish burnt eagle persistently plagues his fragmenting reality. Fresh, insightful, and often hilarious, this is a counterculture catcher in the rye that speaks to the generation coming of age now, as well as to those baby boomers who can't remember much about the whole scene and might want a refresher, and for those who might simply want to get away to another time and place that is authentically portrayed. It says this is a perfect trip. Okay. Also by Rick Dewhurst is The Darkest Valley with 8 ratings and a 3.38 average. It says, in the Cowichan Valley on beautiful Vancouver Island, a pastor's wife with a deep secret is dying of cancer. His young Aboriginal convert is in danger of being grabbed and initiated into Longhouse spirit dancing rituals, and his congregation is throwing him to the wolves. In desperation, he attempts to recruit a local newspaper editor to publish the truth about the Longhouse. Along the way, truth is put to the test, and when his wife's secret is revealed, so is their faith. Okay. Next up, I have The Last Circus. It says that this is a tale of the Great Resignation, written by M.E. Young. 12 ratings with a 4.08 average. No additional genre tags. It says, since the COVID pandemic started in 2020, the labor market in many countries has experienced 2 movements, the Great Resignation and the Quiet Quitting. Now, I have heard the Quiet Quitting. I have not heard the Great Resignation. We stopped and wanted to know the meaning of going to work, especially going to work where we did not find any meaning. This is an allegory that was inspired by true events, real-life characters, and actual conversations. My story will give you a glimpse of one great resignation through the eyes of a tiger. I wrote the story with no intention of advising you on how to discover your calling, recreate yourself, or manage your employees, but with the intention to share the meaning of a famous quote from Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. There are many seasons in life, and you have different stories. I hope my story resonates with your heart, and pray that you will find your roar soon. It says that this is 63 pages, so right about that. So, okay. Next up, I have The Final Frame, written by Harmony Reed. This has 68 ratings with a 4.41 average. No additional genre tags. It says, he sacrificed his family for ambition, but now they're all he has left. Cameron Parrish became Hollywood's #1 action director by refusing to use AI assist technology. Every film is a box office success, but neither fame nor fortune makes up for the fact that Cameron's dying to make real cinema. An Oscar-worthy movie that will show the world he's an auteur, whatever that is, not the clever hack that the critics make him out to be. But mere hours after being greenlit for the film he knows he was born to shoot, director Cameron Parrish is diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. There's no treatment, and if he's lucky, he might make it another year. But more likely, he's got a few months left. As word gets out about his illness, Cameron realizes he has no true friends. No real family either. His obsession with finding perfection behind the camera lens has long since alienated his ex-wife and his adult son. Desperate to make his final days matter, he signs up for an experimental program that promises to help him discover the meaning of his life and his death. Accompanied by an artificial intelligence named Sophia, Cameron embarks on a bucket list journey from the Maldives to Baton to Toledo and Morocco, designed to round out his unbalanced life and help him make peace with his impending death. But what if it's too late for Cameron to see the world through a new lens? Eat, Pray, Love meets The Bucket List in this vibrant but poignant story exploring the possibility of second chances and the unexpected beauty of an imperfect life. Next up, I have Buying Time. This is book number 1 in the Legacy series. And it looks like, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 books in this series. This was written by Paula Kay. This has 1,680 ratings with a 3.78 average. Romance, chick lit, drama, adult, and contemporary are the additional genre tags. Ariana Sinclair has led a privileged life, growing up in an elite neighborhood in Marion County, California. Having only known private schools, fancy country clubs, and all things luxurious, Ariana has been prepared for everything in life except hardship. At 22, Ariana's world is rocked by tragedy. And all she wants to do is escape it by taking the trip of a lifetime. All she wants to do is pretend that everything is normal, even though her whole world has crashed in around her. She's made the decision about the direction she wants her life to go, until a surprise encounter with someone from her past challenges everything she believes, and everything that she thinks she needs in order to move on. A meeting with a stranger, an unexpected journey, and a shock that goes to the core of who she is, or who she thinks she is, will demand a reaction that will have Ariana laying down the foundation for the rest of her life. Next, I have A Woman of Fortune. This was written by Kelly Coates Gilbert. This is book number 1 in the Texas Gold series. And it looks like there are 4 books in this series. And Christian, romance, women's fiction, and contemporary are the additional genre tags. It says, you never know what you're really made of until you lose everything. Texas socialite Claire Massey is living the dream. Designer clothes, luxury cars, stunning homes. But everything comes crashing down when her charming cattle broker husband is arrested for fraud. Suddenly, she finds herself facing attorneys, a media frenzy, and a trail of broken hearts. Betrayed and humiliated, Claire must maneuver incredible odds to save her family and discover a life worth living. Okay, that sounds good. Next is Finding Cupid, and this is book number 2 in the Finding Home series. It does have a prequel, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in this series. So 9 if you include the prequel. This was written by B.E. Baker. And let's see, additional genre tags are romance, contemporary, and clean. So clean romance. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is for chumps. Gio never plans weddings. Corporate retreats, fundraisers, birthday parties, and even the occasional engagement party? Sure, but weddings, not anymore. She never dates either, not under any circumstance. These 2 rules keep her safe. They maintain order, and Gio needs a predictable life. So when her best friend Paisley tries to convince her to plan just one wedding, Gio turns her down flat, until a clinical trial opens up, one that might save a little bit of her mother's future, but it costs money, and the only event planning that pays that kind of money is a wedding. After all, how bad can it be to make an exception just this once? Next, I have All the Little Secrets, written by D like Delta, D Thrush. This has 46 ratings with a 3.76 average. Contemporary romance is the additional genre tag. It says, is this her last chance? When Vera runs into her old boyfriend, it breaks open the past. Things had ended badly. Brad seems genuinely happy to see her. He had been the one. and now he seems more interested than ever. There's just one problem. He's married. Is it wrong when she was with him first? Yes, says her best friend. Don't be the other woman in a love triangle. But things are not always black or white. What if he really is her soulmate? What if they really do belong together? Maybe this is her last chance to have it all. But at what price? Next, I have Backstory, Journalists Off the Record. This was written by William Sargent, has 7 ratings with a 3.86 average. No additional genre tags. Okay, let's see. Follow Erica, Sylvia, and Gregor McFadden as they navigate their lives while reporting on the most pressing issues of our time, from the melting permafrost in Siberia to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic in Shanghai to the war in Ukraine. This book is a must-read for anyone interested in the inner workings of journalism and the journalists who are on the front lines of uncovering the truth. It says this is a message of hope and a call to action. So that's all I know, because then everything else is like how great this book is. So we're just going to skip that stuff. All right, the last 2 books I have to tell you about. This one is The Man Scouts, written by Matthew T. Hill. This has 7 ratings with a 4.57 average and no additional genre tags. Brian Jensen's Bucket Factory just lost its largest client and hinges on failure. But instead of addressing the underlying issues that have long plagued his business, he seeks an escape back to nature and the nostalgia of a childhood in the Scouts. Brian and his 3 boyhood friends embark on a weekend camping trip where they struggle with outdoorsmanship and fumble through unexpected interactions with the feisty humans and creatures that inhabit the campground. For Brian, the bumbling adventure into the outdoors has proved clarity, but will the new focus remain long enough to lend him the courage to win the battle for his bucket factory? He won't know until he goes home. All right, and this last book that I have is called Sip Lake, written by Joe Basara. This has 46 ratings with a 3.3 average. No additional genre tags to tell you about. Okay, so this one says, Owen Cloud has been talked into moving to Cypress Lake. Sip Lake is what the locals call it, his friend says. Only he wants Owen to go to work for him selling real estate. But when Owen demurs, he gets him an orderly job at the local hospital, since putting butts on bedpans is more his speed. On his first night at work, Owen sits alone in the dining room, eating a Sloppy Joe sandwich, while studying an unfinished painting on the wall before him. Drowsy, a young woman's hello startles him. She has just entered the room, but suddenly he finds that the painting has become his My Florida coloring book that he was issued in 1st grade. Turning its pages, he sees Ponce de Leon searching for the Fountain of Youth, the barefoot mailman trudging down the beach, Flagger's Railroad on its way to Key West, and many other images. When the young woman sits down across from him, her verbal hello becomes a visible halo that surrounds her. But this doesn't last long, and since he's only recently broken up with the girl in college, he's in no hurry to become involved again. Still, the attraction is there, but even more importantly, it seems like someone has turned up the volume of the buzz of being. Walking out of the dining room later, outside he hears it raining, pouring, but realizes he's only past a patient's room where an old man is snoring. This is only the beginning of his seeing life in a more blended way that comes to involve people, places, pop music, literary quotations, past events, and present ones. He does admit he has also fallen in love, but is held back by the fact that he is not physically attractive, with kinky red hair and a pug nose with nostrils pointing outward like a second pair of eyes. Like sandpipers gliding back and forth while with the rising and receding surf, his confidence swings back and forth between doubt and certainty. Can he win this girl or any girl? But also, will he ever be able to turn his daily journal into a great work of literature? And, aware he is foolish if he persists in his folly, will one day become wise. Like switching on a light and finding palmetto bugs over the walls and ceilings that quickly scurry away, he continually finds himself being caught in the act of being himself. Thoughts and memories spill over in verbalizations, often heard by those around him, causing him embarrassment, making him want to scurry away. And yet these past memories and present experiences combine to lead him out of the shallows towards some greater depth. It says this is a first-person narrative where Owen candidly tells you about himself and all the people he encounters, patients, hospital staff, neighbors, friends, during the summer of 1977, and these characters influence him and add to the richness of the tale. So that is it. Let me know if you have read any of these books or books from any of these authors. Have any of these books intrigued you to kind of look into, to pick up, that you might think are books that you might be interested in? Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I will talk to you later.